one was at 45.
We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Topspin Weekly Webcast. Gotta get the intro music going. Can you name this track and the question is, what MC's first verse is on this song?
Can't believe you're putting me on Hip Hop Blast live.
Maybe someone in the chat room knows.
This is Nas.
There you go. Well done. Nas from the Main Source record.
There he is.
He's and famously sampled by Big L.
Yeah, no, that's actually where I was going sideways. I didn't know if you were playing me Nas or Big L. Nice.
Alright, well, we're going to get started here. We need a chair. Sorry. Alright. I want to start today by educating on a controversial topic. I don't think it's actually controversial. It's just a confusing topic. And that is international fulfillment. And I wanted to put this at the front of the video here because we get the question a lot, and I wanted to have a place where we could go send people and take them through the thought process. Once upon a time in Topspin, we had a way that you could have a different fulfiller in each continent. So you could actually have one person fulfilling in the US and then somebody different fulfilling in the UK. So we actually had that. It was a feature that we built, and it worked. And we had, I think, exactly 5 people use it, and they were gigantic artists. And it was incredibly confusing because what we learned is, in practice, you don't want to have 2 people responsible for fulfillment for you, and it's not because you don't want to have 2 people ship your stuff. It's actually pretty logical to have someone over here ship your stuff and someone over there ship your stuff. The problem comes on customer service.
Right.
You want to have one. If a fan has a question, where's my stuff? They should never call someone and have that person go, I don't know, go ask that guy. Right? You don't call Amazon and they say, I don't know, I'll call Amazon New Jersey. They're the one that shipped it. Right? Amazon deals with that for you in the middle. So more important than having 2 different people ship your stuff was having one source for customer service. So we looked at this problem a whole bunch of ways. The other thing is that when we started working on it and we started improving our inventory management features, the inventory management features get exponentially more complex when you have n number of fulfillers, because I have this many t-shirts, but where? And now when I check out, the checkout flow has to say, oh, can I actually sell you this t-shirt? Because where I can sell you this t-shirt depends on where you are in the world. Right. Right? So that starts to get really complex. And what we decided at the end of the day, after actually building this feature once, is that this is not a problem that Topspin should solve, and certainly not in a self-serve software application. And what I mean is, this is not a problem for the Topspin application. It's actually, there is a part of Topspin that has solved it, and I'll get to that in a second. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with an artist named Jenny Holzer, but she does a lot of art in public places, and one of her most famous slogans is, "Protect me from what I want." And this is kind of one of those instances where I was like, okay, people want international fulfillment. Well, at least a couple of people do. First of all, less people need it than think they need it. And that clue came to me when I spoke to Christian, who runs operations for Sandbag, which is Radiohead's fulfillment company, and he said, the Royal Mail is so cheap, we don't even bother shipping on 2 continents. Although I noticed they did ship on 2 continents for the latest record, and I'm assuming what they did was they said, well, we had enough orders in the U.S. that it merited us drop shipping a pallet to Pennsylvania.
Mail them all at once.
And mail them all at once. But they didn't do that on. There's nothing in the Sandbag software that does that. The fulfiller did that on the back end.
Right.
So What the bottom line is that this dual fulfillment thing needs to live at the fulfiller, right? And we sure as hell shouldn't in our software let people do things like have this person fulfill over there and that person fulfill over there and then set them up for a customer service nightmare. We want to help you run good customer service because it's actually hard, not set you up for failure. So the bottom line is that international fulfillment or split fulfillment needs to live at the fulfiller. So it's something that we are setting up as part of Topspin Fulfillment, and we are doing it right now for Paul McCartney. The bottom line is that's invisible for Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney doesn't care that it's Audio Life in the U.S. and Man Logistics in the U.K. That's invisible to him. It's just Topspin Fulfillment.
Right. It lives at our fulfillment business, not in our software business.
That's exactly correct.
Which is what you should do.
That's exactly correct. So if you have a fulfiller, I talked to an artist this morning. He's using a fulfiller called Backstreet. They have fulfillment in the U.S. and the U.K. That's great. The orders should come out and go to them. They should split up the orders. Then the only question is inventory. Well, you know what? The inventory problem should also live at the fulfiller, and it's not as hard as you think, right? Let's say I've got 25 T-shirts in the U.K. and I've got 50 T-shirts in the U.S. What do I set my inventory number at in Topspin? Set it at 25. Because the only thing you're really worried about is overselling, right? You don't want to sell something you can't ship.
Right.
So if you just set it at the lowest number, then you'll never oversell, and you'll get the out of stock message, and then you'll know when it's time to replenish. So that's the I wanted to just have that out there once for all. It's a feature we built. It's a feature we turned off. It's a feature we took out of Topspin the software, as you said, and put into Topspin the fulfillment business. And if you have a fulfiller who wants to fulfill in 2 continents, that's great. They just need to be the entity that routes that. You shouldn't rely on Topspin the app to do that. It's the wrong place to put it. It's a bad customer experience, and we don't want to set people up for failure. So I hope that's useful, that's all we can use this now when people ask the question. I wanted to jump into some new features, but first I'm remiss. I was too busy quizzing you on main source and NAS, and I didn't introduce you. This is Andrew Maines, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew runs our artist and label relations group, so he's the one that has the privilege of dealing with all of the clients that we deal with, whether it's big record labels or small artists or everybody in between. So you've met Brad, you've met Parker, you've met Nicole on these webcasts in the past. All of those people are part of Andrew's team. And we are here in artist and label relations, and we are also oversee the professional services side of Topspin. Our goal is helping you run a successful business, but especially helping you run a successful business if you have a record company and a promoter and a merch company and a manager and an agent and all of the above, and you need help and assistance making all of those things work well together. And leveraging the energy around your ticketing business to make your merchandise business more exciting, and leveraging your album release to make your tour more exciting. So those are sort of the areas that I oversee, and those areas are the one area that get done with human beings, and can't ever really, the pieces of that, elements of that are very much a services organization, which is why we have one. So what did you do before?
I came to Topspin after working for Interscope Records for 9 years, where I worked with Courtney Holt for 7 years, and then ran New Media for 2.5 years at Interscope, and oversaw teams that were focused on digital marketing, product marketing, social media development, digital product. At the time, New Media was actually a much broader. First of all, that word no longer means anything. It's they now call it digital, but I'm old, and I started doing it when it was new. So I had a long run there and oversaw a lot of global artist campaigns for some of the world's biggest artists and for some of the world's smallest and coolest artists. And then started consulting Topspin just after I left Interscope, and then a couple of years ago decided to come and work with Ian full time. So here I am.
Perfect. Thank you. If anybody has any questions for Andrew, drop them in the chat room, especially hip hop questions.
Especially hip hop questions. Where do we see the questions?
Over there on the right. So I want to talk about a couple of new features that we've talked about a lot in the past that are actually live now. I was going to see if maybe Greg was around to talk about stream players. Now he signed off.
Jen Bird is he's got a problem with your hair.
Oh man.
Do you wanna jump right into that?
Does she actually not like it, or she just not like it today?
I liked Ian with shorter long hair. Shorter long hair. The beef is with the long.
Oh yeah.
You've got the long. She's calling BS on the long.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But I am. You know, Jen, I am a member of the anything worth doing is worth overdoing school. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I am getting a haircut tomorrow, actually.
Do you get just like the split ends trimmed? Or
yeah, basically, yeah.
But they don't there's no buzzer. It's just like one pair of small shears.
Yeah, just shape it up a little bit. You know, little, yeah. So,
Right.
Jen, I'll take that into consideration. If you could just let me know like how much you'd like to come off, I'll try to accommodate you tomorrow. You can actually come by the house at 1 if you want and instruct Rebecca, who cuts my hair. So,
Rebecca.
wow, look, it's Zach Beatty too. This is really like it's like a reunion in here right now.
Yeah, no, this is a lot of people who know what I mean when I say new media.
Yeah, exactly. Let's so I'd like to let's talk now
the
about
old new media.
About Phil Sandhouse, Liz Heller, Ralph Simon,
Indeed,
Charles Como. Come on, let's give a shout out to the original, the OGs. Who are the original new media people? I mean, obviously Robin, but to me, Robin even came after Liz.
Yeah.
So
Ted Cohen,
you gotta. Yeah, I mean, these are the days when Dave Goldberg was
who was homeboy that used
worked
to
in
have
the
that
finance department at Capitol Records. Dave Goldberg worked in the finance department at Capitol Records.
But who was the guy who had that faux meeting, like the Noodle House meeting?
Yeah.
From Geffen, I think.
Yeah, Jim Griffin.
Jim Griffin.
I saw Jim Griffin in Boston like 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Was he eating noodle soup?
No, Jim Griffin is Jim Griffin, man. You really can't. There is no other. He is a live wire to this day. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the Facebook store. So one thing I want to note is we have had a Facebook store for more than a year. We were demoing the Facebook store at South by Southwest last year. Now it was not visually pretty. It was just offers in a grid, but it pulled from our API and it worked, and it purchased all inside of Facebook and was up on artists such as Linkin Park and whatnot. So what we've done though is a major revision. It's actually a total ground up rewrite of that Facebook store. And look at that, it's on the screen.
There it is.
And what it is the cool part about it is it comes straight out of the store builder. So Jason, would you mind popping over to the store builder just so we can take people through that flow?
There you go.
So if you go to topspinmedia.com/blog, there's a great video with Carl and Alf.
The video is also in the store builder.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. The video is in the store builder. You can watch that video, and it'll take you through exactly how to do it. But the bottom line is, there you go. There's Carl and Alf. No problem. building a Facebook store with Topspin is no problem. So it's super simple. You set up your store, you set up your colors, you make your aisles and your offers. You click that little Facebook logo down there, which I'm sure has some copyright restrictions with how we use it that we're ignoring. And then you take your API key, you go throw it in your Facebook store, and boom, you get a nice looking store. And the cool thing is, you make changes to your Spin Shop store, they automatically flow through to your store on the on your Facebook page. So nice and simple. There you go.
Right.
It's awesome. It looks good. Smells good. Works good. Oh, go ahead and like add something to the cart and check out there, Jason, just so they can see the purchase happening right inside of the app. So there you go. You get the whole flow right inside of Facebook. Dun da da da.
By the way, people who watch this should occasionally submit cool stuff they're doing with their stores and Facebook, etc. Whether it be campaign focused or display focused, and we will feature those.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
In fact, we'll feature them. You'll either feature them live or we will feature them the following week.
Yeah.
It'd be a good thing to do.
That would be great. And we're also right now featuring a bunch of artist stuff on the blog, especially people who have been with us a long time. So you know who you are if you got that email yesterday. Okay.
There was one particular question about the Facebook store that I want to get to. I'm grabbing all the questions that are coming in, and we'll get to them after we go over features. But someone specifically asked, is there a way to add a free offer to the Facebook tab without putting it in the Spin Shop store?
Free offer to the Facebook tab. Yes, in a different tab.
Yeah, not through the store, but through a different tab.
Yes, there is, and there is a, and Chandler, maybe if you are able to grab the link to the article in the community in the forums about how to put an E4M in a tab. I know it's in there because I just saw it get sent around last week, so I could send it around after the webcast here, or if somebody could dig in the forum real quick and find that and drop it in. Basically, what you do is you create a tab. There's a really simple app that allows you to embed HTML into Facebook tab, and you can gate that with a like or not. If we had Parker here, he'd give us a lot of detail on it. But the bottom line, yeah, it's not hard to do.
Great, people are throwing it in the comments right now.
Okay, awesome, thank you. You know what we should do though? We should get that Alf puppet, and when Jason talks, since he's off camera, we can move the Alf puppet.
All right, there he goes. He probably has one, so off he goes.
Oh yeah, we've for sure got an Alf puppet. So anyway, the other thing to talk about is this the streaming player. Oh hey there. Hey, no problem. So the other thing to talk about is the streaming players, which launched on Tuesday, and
there's one right there.
There you go, one right on the front page of Topspin. Now these obviously have a few advantages. One, they're just a lot better looking than the ones that we had previously. The sharing features are in a much better place. They share really nicely into Facebook and whatnot. The call to action button is really bold and clear. And generally speaking, the advantage of using a Topspin player over, say, a YouTube player or a Vimeo player, we love YouTube and Vimeo. This webcast will go up on YouTube in a second. We post all of our how-to videos on Vimeo. But, if you are debuting a video, you want people coming to your website, not YouTube, right? Because you want to capture that fan connection. You want to have the opportunity to sell them something, and we've done the math, and you're about 100 times more likely to sell somebody something if you drive them to your site than you are if you drive them to a YouTube page. If they drive them to YouTube, they're probably going to watch Sexy Sax Man Sergio Flores, not buy your T-shirt. So anyway, the videos accomplish all that. The other thing that they do is they are HTML5. They are not Flash, so they work great on your iPad, iPhone. We actually uncovered a problem this week where the iPhone doesn't like some of the video It looks like it's something with the encode of some videos. So we're trying to figure out why some videos work and some videos don't. But it's not really a player problem. It's a video problem, so we're trying to figure that out. We had another problem yesterday where there was an intermittent problem. We fixed that. So, but it looks like they're all good and working. So.
And one of the neatest things about these new streaming players, especially for videos, is
where's
that.
The puppet?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
As
Go
Al
ahead,
said,
Jason.
yeah, one of the coolest things about the streaming player for video is that now there's no big button on the bottom. It's when you're playing it and you mouse away, it's just the video, and you can mouse back over it to get the buttons and the share buttons and stuff. And then when you go away, it's just super clean and just the video in nice quality.
Thanks, Alf.
You're welcome.
All right. Any questions? I can't see the questions. So, are there any questions in the chat room that we should answer before we move on?
No, I'm collecting some questions, and at the end we can, after we're done talking features, we can make questions.
Okay. Cool. All right. So another thing we wanted to mention is, if there's any launches or anything you want to talk about, Andrew, you can think about that. But also. We've been, as Andrew was saying, we've been trying to feature as many of the artists as possible. One of them that we're featuring this week, which I think is particularly apropos, I don't know if you noticed, but your boy Eddie Vedder is releasing a ukulele record right now, which I think is a terrific idea at this point in his career.
Needed.
And
summer.
It is summer. Yeah, it makes you want to be in Hawaii. But we also, if you look, Mountain Apple Records. You guys know who the most famous ukulele player in the history of time is, right?
Oh yeah, it is.
Boom!
There
you win.
It is.
You're doing good on the.
We just morphed this in a music trivia hour.
Yeah. So is R.I.P. They Mountain Apple Records released on his birthday. They re-released his site. They have a brand new mobile roadie app. And so I think that, you should go to NPR today and listen to the Eddie Vedder record because it's up there. I listened to the first track. It's actually, I actually was.
I support anybody who's got the balls.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually thought it. I was surprised. I actually kind of liked it.
I'm backing it.
All right, and I looked at it though. I was like, NPR, like this picture of Eddie Vedder kind of looking off into the distance, holding the ukulele, like. It really could have been an Onion article, you know what I mean? But then the music was actually pretty good. I have to hand it to him. But is the undisputed champion.
Yes.
And yeah. So anyway, artist spotlight. Alf, anything else I should note about is?
Well, one of the neat things that Mountain Apple Company Records did was that they in the YouTube video where
I can't keep this up.
Yeah, I mean it. On the YouTube page of the video that went like mad viral, they made sure to have links right there at the top of the description to download the song and get another free track from Is, so that they capitalized on the viral nature. Sometimes it's hard to really capture people who see a YouTube video, and obviously we can't embed the. I got it up.
Oh, you got it up.
Yeah, man. We can't embed our E4Ms on a YouTube page yet, but the closest thing you can do is put a link right there beneath the video to steer people to get a free download and connect with you, so you capitalize on that viral attention.
And look at the view count. You can't see it because our window's in the way there, but look at the view count on that video.
Yeah, that says 37 million.
37.2 million views of that video.
Yeah.
That captured a lot of emails for them.
Fresh Breakfast just asked a good question, which is what happens when I finally need to pay for an item in the Facebook store?
I'll show you.
At any point do I get taken away from the iframe onto another domain? Right, so
no.
The answer is no.
Check this out.
And
this is a $0 thing, so I don't have to put in my credit card info, but check out, put in my email address, accept terms.
Everybody note Jason's email address, by the way.
Boom!
If you need anything at all, just mail him anything. It's like a concierge service.
Yep.
Okay, so that all happened right inside of Facebook, which is great. I just want to warn everybody: prepare for that not to be the case forever. I have no inside information here, but I do know that Facebook made all of the game companies May 1st. If you take money, you're taking Facebook credits. Otherwise, you have to bounce out. So I think it's a matter of time before they try to push Facebook credits on all of us, but maybe I'm wrong. So that is the way it works today, Fresh Breakfast.
How many Facebook credits is one Bitcoin worth?
Ooh, that's like a double exchange. Is anybody out there? I really want to. I'm obsessed with Bitcoin. Are you following this shit at all?
I'm not even.
Okay.
I'm not even into it.
I'll spend 2 seconds on this. Bitcoin is a P2P currency. So there are exchanges. Go just do a Google search for Bitcoin exchange real quick. So you can. I don't know what the current Bitcoin, what the current exchange is, or what the current exchange rate is. Wait, let's look at MTGOX. It really, like, it's worth understanding what Bitcoin is, because if you do, it means you understand what money actually is and isn't. Let's see, buy Bitcoins. So I'm at mtgox.com.
I got it.
Wow.
Oh,
It's up today.
By the way, someone actually already knows this.
Yeah, 60 to 65 Facebook credits equals one Bitcoin.
There you go. Well, because a Bitcoin right today is costing like about $8.60, and that's up. I mean, I was looking at a $5 number just last week, so so anyway, but the bottom line is it's currency. You can exchange. You can actually grow the currency on your computer, but the algorithm that grows it, you'll spend more. It intentionally grows it slowly. There are about 7 million Bitcoins in circulation right now, and they're capping it at 21 million. So people will effectively mine those coins over the coming years, but the algorithm is such that the more people who are mining them, the slower they get created.
It's a bad job.
Yeah,
we should.
But people are building particular GPUs. They're using graphics cards to grow these Bitcoins, and then you can trade them and spend them. It's completely anonymous. You know, increasingly with money, people, you know, every move you make is known, right?
Right.
You remove from an ATM, you use your credit card, you use PayPal. It's all traced. It's completely anonymous. It's really, really disruptive. So I'm obsessed with it.
Cool. Jumping back to the topic of spotlighting our artists who are doing cool things, by the way. This is another webpage that we've got, topspinmedia.com/spinshop-gallery, where people, you know, our spin shops have been out for a while now, and people have done some really nice looking things with them, some cool, you know, colors and integrations of graphics and layouts. So we just want to feature them. We want to show, you know, give inspiration to all you folks out there who are building your own spin shop. So if you've got a nice looking spin shop you want to have us feature on our site, send it to spotlight@topspinmedia.com, and we'll put it up in the gallery.
So let's actually get people's questions answered if you've mined some of them away.
Yeah.
Because I have a couple more things to talk about, and I know Alessandro is going to be here in a second if we wanted to say hi to him.
There are a couple of questions we've gotten so far. Someone asks if there are any updates on the rebuild of the fan/email section. I think, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, same update as last week. It's currently being worked on. And like I said, I don't want to share a date before we have one, but Adam's working on it right now.
Great. Someone asks, how about using the Topspin platform as a way to recommend access to services, for example, like audio engineers? You know, if we can refer people to other services.
I think that's probably, I mean, some of the people here at the company have that kind of knowledge, but I think it's kind of out of scope. I feel like somebody was building a directory of people. Like a directory, you know, it was somebody was building once upon a time like a social network of sorts for the industry, but I can't remember what it was called. If anybody knows, throw it out there. There really should be a directory of services. It's a great idea. I think that's a little out of scope for what we're doing, but it is definitely a good idea.
That's all the questions we've gotten so far.
If you have more questions, please feel free to throw them in there.
Yep.
I wanted to talk about couple of music news things really quickly here.
Yeah.
So, the Google service is in beta. Again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but there's kind of two separate kinds of services. One is the kind of rental model, which is what Spotify and Rhapsody and RDO and Hog and whatnot, and the other is this: I'm going to buy stuff and then I'm going to put it in a locker, which is what Amazon has built. It's what Google has now released. I have to be honest, I haven't even seen it. I haven't tried it.
I bought the Gaga record for 99 cents
From Amazon.
Yeah.
I use the Amazon one. I haven't done the Google one yet though. But Google came out when they launched this. They launched this at one of their events, and they said, we're launching a locker service. Basically, we wanted to do more, but we couldn't get the rights. It was kind of the message they came out with. It's disappointing for me because I feel like a company like Google has they should have the weight to get something interesting done, and they've actually proven that they don't mind taking a pretty contrarian viewpoint with copyright holders. If you look at what they did to the book industry, they really turned that industry upside down with what they wanted to do there. Oh, you're running out of power.
That's all right. Jason stole my power.
But so the news came out this week that Google offered the labels $100 million to get the service going, and the label's response was, not unless you do more to fight piracy on Google. So I assume that they're thinking about things that are in the index, like links to torrents and rapid share and all of that sort of stuff.
I get the impression that they actually would want them to proactively come to them and say, here's how you shut it down.
Right.
I've been part of those types of conversations in the past.
Right.
So,
well, I had one major label. We bought it when I was at Yahoo. We bought a company called WebJ, and I had one major label. We actually had to shut down WebJ because one of the labels said, we aren't going to renew your licenses unless you do. And WebJ was just pointing to links to songs. Same as Google does. And that was our premise, was if Google's legal, if searching for a song and pointing to a link to it is legal, then organizing that link into a playlist is also legal.
Right.
And they said, we're not going to go to court over it, but we're not going to license our content to you while you're operating that business. So we actually had to close the doors. So, and that sounds exactly like what's going on here, which is like, look, we're not going to, we're not crazy enough to think that Google search isn't legal. We're not going to fight that battle. But we are going to say, unless we get some help from you on getting piracy out of the search results, then we're not going to license your service.
Right. Yeah, but have you seen, because I don't know the list, what are the premium services that are going to get blocked by license issues? It's going to be, I think it's definitely some of the cool stuff, right? It's going to be, yeah. For one thing, it would be some form of sharing, right? Sharing full streaming audio of stuff I own at a different rate.
Yeah.
Which is probably the use, that's where it's a drag, right? Because where this gets exciting is, I start to build playlists of stuff that I own, and distribute it socially.
And then I can share it. And you pick up on it.
Or you can share it, and then they're gonna have to build complex license, issues for, if I want to then play it 10 times and then I have to buy it.
Yeah.
Is I think where that's gonna break.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, and those are the coolest features, and they're the ones that aren't going to come because the licenses are too hard to get. I mean, if Google can't get them, if Amazon can't get them, the only people who are going to get them are Apple. And then look at this: it's the industry putting all of the chips in front of Apple again. Nice work, guys.
Best case scenario, it'll force Google to innovate some on what they on the low level license, the license free uses. Right, and it'll get exciting enough that some, the record companies will say, okay, enough.
Yeah.
We're going to give these guys, let's cooperate and not, put them into the policing business in order to innovate with with music.
Yeah. So I actually just had this thought. I wasn't planning to do this, but I want to do this right now. I'm going to launch my campaign right here to head the RIAA.
Okay.
I would like all of your support. There are tens of viewers right now, and that's how we get started, folks. It's a groundswell.
It's grassroots.
It came out this week what the head of the RIAA made last year. I think it was $3.6 million a year, which sounds nice, and I will do it for less. I'll actually stay right now. You can just cut that number in half, and I'm in. And here's what I'm going to do. This is the part that's actually a good idea. What we're going to do is, instead of blocking these kinds of services over trying to fight piracy, which just effectively drives consumers from one search engine to another. I don't know if everyone realizes this, but there are lots of search engines out there, including some that are 100% tracking free. Can't think of there's one in particular that's a very popular "we don't track you" search engine. So you're never going to fight that problem, even if you put leverage over Google. You're just going to make their searches suck more and give someone like Facebook more of an advantage to enter the search game. So that's a losing proposition. Fighting piracy by trying to shut things down has been a losing proposition since 1999 and will continue to be. What you should do instead is you should build a programmatic layer in the middle where all the rights live. The content holder, the copyright holder, can put whatever business rules they want to on that license, so that if you want to charge $5 for your download, fine. You want it to be free, fine. You want it to be 99 cents or $1.29, great. Those are your business rules. You get to set at least the wholesale price. I think it's probably illegal to set the retail price, but that's another issue. So you set those business rules, and then guess what? Any application that wants to play can. They don't have to come to a deal with you. They don't have to come give you $100 million because they're a big company and your company has declined in value 50% over the past 10 years. It's put the rights out there and let innovation happen on the rights. Now you can guarantee so that people don't misuse those rights, but you have to let innovation happen. In fact, I think you do one more thing, and that is you offer a trial license. So if I'm a startup, if I'm a little startup, I got 2 people, I'm a Y Combinator company, and I want to build something cool with music, I can use the entire canon of music that's in this middle layer, and I can and I get to do it at a discounted rate for, say, a year, right? So give me some time to see if my service actually has any value, and who knows? A few of those are going to take off and be the future of the music business.
Right.
So that's what should be done. Who's going to do it? Only people that could do it would be Google. Is really one. They're kind of really the only one at this point. Amazon's not going to do it. They're just a store. The only other people that could do it are industry-wide consortiums, but the industry can't get their head around it. Rio actually tried to do this when he was at Universal. He had this idea 5 years ago. Rob and I tried to build a company around this in 2001. I tried to do it in 2004 at Yahoo. Rio tried to do it in 2007 at Universal, and eventually gave up and went to Vivo. It's still doable. There's somebody, no offense, dude, making almost $4 million a year not doing this at the RIAA right now. So come on, y'all. Let's do this right. You pay me a hell of a lot less and make some progress. So vote for me. And
I'll vote for you.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
So there were two kind of interesting questions that I saw pop up. And one was, for a fan club, how is it possible to create gated access for an actual web page and not a physical digital product? I know Linkin Park does it with their chat and exclusive video page, and then it gets cut off after that. I don't know if there was more to that question.
I think that's the core of the question.
This is where we need Parker.
This is
because he's on vacation.
Right.
So this is definitely doable, and there are API calls you can make to do this.
Right.
But I actually, so the bottom line is you set up the access, you sell the access, and then there are API calls that you add to the page that call our server and say, does this consumer have access to this page? So that's roughly how it works.
Right.
If you want to know exactly how it works, please post in the forums, and Parker or someone will answer that question.
Yeah. And what he did, by the way, it's worth mentioning. Jason actually just wrote a blog post on this that's going to go up in the next couple of days. The way they did, one of the things they gated specifically, it was really cool, was video chat, and they did it with one of our favorite partners, TinyChat, which they did specifically because TinyChat has really has built a tool and that is really outstanding for artists to fan group communication, because it does two things that are sort of unique and interesting. One is that multiple band members or multiple broadcasters can be in different places at the same time, broadcasting in one window. And the other thing I think is really cool is that the fans during that interaction are also, and you can set this. There's certain controls and settings you can place based on see how many people can you see, how many people can see each other. But there's sort of like an after effect of a pop-up video community for the artist. Right? In other words, after the artist is done, there's a group of fans who are sort of communicating and can see one another, and it's pretty cool.
It's like See You See Me in the 90s, except it's color and
right.
better frame rate.
Yeah.
Just to bring it all back to the Liz Heller, Ralph Simon, Megadeth Arizona days.
And then we should ask, I wonder if I bet you none of us have the same answer to Fresh Breakfast. Do you guys personally think major labels are going to be primarily back catalogs one day? When does the next pre-label Justin Bieber sidestep major labels distro their content completely freemium?
You and I talked about this yesterday.
So since you asked about Justin Bieber, that's actually the perfect artist, and my answer is no. I don't see labels. I think labels' core value still lies in development and marketing. In fact, I would argue just the opposite. Like that almost anybody can do catalog business. Oh, that's not true. Sorry to my catalog friends. That's a retail marketing and product marketing skill, and it matters a tremendous amount. But the story of Justin Bieber in 30 seconds or less is that he was discovered on YouTube. But he was discovered on YouTube by a very smart, talented manager named Scooter Braun, who took him to a major record label for artist development, for A&R, for songs, and for giant expensive marketing, and all of those things are exactly why he's not a YouTube phenomenon. He's a global touring multi-billion-dollar concern. So certainly Justin Bieber's, I don't imagine. I personally, someone's going to do it. Sooner or later, someone's going to do it. But there's a reason why, even a manager who wishes that or feels that working with labels sometimes can be cumbersome, the first thing that person does is to just explore. I think there are new ways to work with record labels, and I think that those stories, frankly, don't they don't happen. There've been a million YouTube sensations, and hey, we got a guest. I'm just gonna. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in.
Yeah, can you see? You just took
in your legs?
What's wrong with having Alpha in my lap?
Well, no.
Can you guys see Alessandro?
There you are, yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you guys know Alessandro. There's a little delay, but if you tuned in around our South by Southwest coverage, then you certainly do. Tell them about what you're up to.
Well, right now we're very close to releasing the new record,
which is
next week.
Okay, and tell them where they. Well, there you go. Tell them where they can go to get it.
The website is sonoio.org, so sonoio.org. And
it's a non-profit organization.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For now. Sort of. No, sort of. I mean, I guess yeah. So it's very exciting because it's the second campaign, and you actually can see some of the products of the grant award.
Tell us about the music. Tell us about the music.
Well, the music is, it's funny that you say that. That's the first thing you ask, because most of the time people ask about the campaign and how that went and what are you doing this time to make it interesting.
No, you and I started. That's why I'll tell you. Like, you and I started when we started talking about the record, it really was all about the music. You were talking about how you were making it, about
definitely.
the keyboard you're using is basically a museum piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's an old synth from the 70s. You know, most of the music, even for this album, was written on one of those. Simply because I do enjoy the fact that it's a little different from using, like, everything that you can use nowadays. You know, you go into Guitar Center, $300, and you have a studio at home.
Yeah.
And to me, if I have all these tools, I usually end up just, you know, playing the PS3 and going and doing nothing. If I have 1,000 options, and so the plan was, you know, to do a second part as opposed to doing a main record, a long one, say 15 tracks. My plan was to do shorter records,
right?
Simply because it's always been difficult for me to feel like if I worked on a group of, say, 10 or 15 songs, that I'd be attached to the first song as much as I was to the last one that I worked on. Usually the last stuff I work on is the one I'm more attached to.
Right.
So I realized that my comfort zone is always something between an EP and a full record, which has never been easy to do.
Yeah.
Because you try to shop it, and people are like, well, we'd like more, and then once you have a collection of songs to which you're not that attached to anyway, because some of them are old, 2 years old, and the others you just wrote.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, or the label's like, well, yeah, let me try, you know, and see how this works. Maybe a year from now we'll release it.
And this is actually relevant to what we were talking about when you walked in, which is, because I was thinking, somebody asked a question about, you know, when will someone release, you know, take a gigantic artist and do something really non-traditional is kind of the essence of the question. And then I just listened last night to Michael Brandvold's podcast where he read the recent Bob Lefsetz piece, which was all about, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Lefsetz wrote this piece about stop releasing albums. That was effectively what it was. It was like stop thinking in 60-minute chunks, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so it sounds to me, I like the way you put it too, is like you just said that you're recording in this way that you're kind of the bounds of the package are kind of what feels natural to you, instead of something that feels unnatural. Like I assume like just releasing a song, it's not like the SONOIO is going to be like, here's my new hit song.
Yeah.
But you're also saying that, like, I'm not really thinking of it in terms of like a 45 to 72 minute album.
Yeah, well, it might happen. You know, right now it just seems like I got into this groove where basically I'd like to invert the old process of releasing a full record and tour for 2 years or something like that. I'd rather do a few shows, but in a year I'm going to give you 3 records. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then different packages, but it's going to be a lot of music, short enough for you to want to be playing it again and listen to it again until the next one comes out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how many records, I mean, I love that, you know, are short, and the only way to fulfill that need is to listen again, which is as easy as just pressing play again. It's not like, oh man, it's short. You know what? Just listen to it again.
And I think, yeah. And I thought I don't know if you guys have heard the first SONOIO record, but it's really good.
I have. It's pretty.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
I like it. You know, and so cool, man. Well, I'm excited. So Monday.
Me too. Yeah. Well, Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, Monday is a
holiday.
And we'll like to
yeah.
keep it that way for everyone. But
right.
so
But Tuesday back to work, which means buying your record.
Yeah. Everybody back to work and then invest some money.
And so wait, are you doing more synths with this one too?
Yeah, there's going to be another edition, a little bit upgraded.
So tell people about that. So this is the craziest thing. So Alessandro actually fabricated a synthesizer, which you can buy along with his record. And I mean, it's pretty awesome. I saw like a Wayne playing with it at the. I don't have one. I saw Wayne playing with one at the thing. You know, it's pretty cool.
It's, well, the idea was to come up with something that was halfway between a gimmick, if you want. I mean, technically speaking, it is a gimmick, promotionally wise, but something that had a little bit more of a meaning to it. And I've always been associated with synths because of my previous work with Nine Inch Nails, and I didn't just want to release a synthesizer because. Yeah. And I didn't want to release a sample player with samples from the album just because that seemed too simple. So the idea was to come up with a cross between the two, so something that was strictly linked to the recording, to the record, but that it would allow you to be creative and not thinking, oh man, it's just this drum loop from track 1. Right. So we came up with the SONOIO, which is basically an instrument that takes the sounds from the record, little samples, like you would use waveforms, and use those as starting points. And I've heard it used live by people, especially up in the Bay Area, obviously, where I play some shows with experimental musicians, and they're using it. I mean, that's awesome. It's
it's sort of like using. Like I remember the first time I saw somebody who had a K oscillator on stage. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's so cool because it's such a simple little instrument.
Yeah.
But you can really get a lot of power out of it.
Exactly. The other thing
you know,
was we didn't want it to
creativity.
look or be slave to the rules of synthesis, where you sort of expect or you're expected to know what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, to me, we succeeded in coming up with a product that is just as useful and exciting for somebody who has everything, as far as musicians,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and somebody who just wants to keep it on a coffee table and show it to friends when
And so
they
does
walk
the new
in,
one
you
have
know?
that panel over the top
Yeah,
of it?
the new one has a faceplate, and
Right.
there's going to be an upgrade package at a special price for the people who bought the previous one, so they can just get the faceplate and their choice of color,
That's awesome.
and with extra cables and whatnot. And so the new one's going to have samples from, you know, the new record. And there's going to be, as I said, an upgrade package for the older one that will have a faceplate, a chip with the new sounds, so if you want to switch between the two editions, you can.
Right.
And yeah,
Awesome.
That's it.
I'm buying one this time. I'm glad I waited till version 2.
there's you know, it's we're happy that we're able to do version 2.
Yeah. Oh man.
The
Well,
first
so
one was
so
more
I
of an
have
experiment.
just a final question for you. You know, I was surprised. Like I for the class that we do at UCLA, I reached out to you
Mhm.
because I was using you as an example of an artist. You know, really coming. You know, because we always get the question like, oh, this shit works for, you know, David Byrne. How does it work for, you know, someone like Alessandro? So I reached out to you and I said, you know, hey, I'm pulling these slides together. I'm curious, like, how much of your revenue, you know, you sell on TuneCore,
Yeah.
right? How much of your revenue is Topspin versus that? And I was surprised by your answer.
Yeah, it was like a very short. I can't remember, something between 5 to 7, or like 3 to 5% or something.
Yeah,
like that. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I can't remember exactly.
3
But
to 5% is not Topspin.
yeah, exactly. It's anything coming from TuneCore. So I mean, let's say just Amazon and iTunes. You know,
And the
big
thing
ones.
that surprised me most that you shared with me is that you said, you know, you sell more digital tracks even direct from your website than you do from iTunes.
Oh
and
yeah, for
Amazon.
sure, definitely.
Which I think is so interesting because for me, you know, we often think about like, well, okay, Topspin's for the synth. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's for the
or
poster.
or for the
It's for
physical.
the
Yeah,
t-shirt.
people think it's for the physical, but then you forget about the options in the digital realm of things,
Yeah.
where you can actually choose the quality, you know, of the resolution of the files. Sometimes the other thing is that if you buy from the website, you get extras. You know,
Right.
you get the pre, just like for the first record, this record, you'll get the demos, which is something I've always been very attached to. You know,
Right.
like bootlegs and demo versions
Yeah,
of
yeah.
records. So the fact that two things: the fact that you're buying straight from the artist gets you a better version if you want, with
Yeah.
extras, and it's much better. I mean, iTunes is great. I mean, I don't think it's exclusive. You should have it everywhere you
I
can.
totally
you know.
agree, yeah.
But I definitely rather push for
I-
a private or direct sale from me to
Well,
the
I
fans.
think that's the other thing about it. Plus, you get that fan connection, which
Yeah.
is obviously valuable to you. And the other thing is, like, I was surprised by those numbers, but then when you think through it, it's like, well, it's not like iTunes is putting you on the front page.
No.
Who's telling people to buy the album?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah,
And you're
exactly.
choosing where to send them, and you're choosing to send them to your website. So, you know, if
Yeah.
somebody goes and they search, you know, Sonoio on iTunes, then they're finding you, which is great. You
Yeah,
never
it's
want that
good
to
to
come
have.
up.
It's like having it like in the old days at the Virgin Megastore. If you know what you're looking for, or if you're like me, where you go browse on the iTunes Music Store because
Yeah.
you know you don't know what you want and you're just looking for new music. You
Right.
might find it and go, I like this. But so far, I haven't found an as constructive counterpart to having your own campaign on Topspin with iTunes. I don't think there's yet a way for you to promote and build your presence on the iTunes store as there is on your own
Right.
site. Just like, you know, and iTunes is literally what the Virgin Megastore was, but digitally.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. I mean, I love the iTunes store.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not something that I can just. I can't go inside the Virgin Megastore and set up my little booth and go to people. Oh, this is my record. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's just
totally.
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Cool, man.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Thank you
Are
guys
there
for
are there
having me.
are there questions for Alessandro that we should make him answer before he leaves?
No one's come up with questions specifically
Okay.
for Alessandro.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you,
a
man.
real beard. I know that question will come up.
Yes.
but I'll
Yeah, the
share.
beard is real. Alf's beard is real.
Alf's real. Yeah.
Cool,
Just
man.
for today, I knew it was coming in.
Thank you for the
Thank you guys for having me.
man.
Yeah, man.
Always good to see you.
And
I'll see you in a
guys
second.
next week.
All right.
Hopefully smiling, not crying.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Well,
You want to have a fishing report?
oh yeah, let's get at the fishing report. We gotta go to the Topspin Wichita office. I gotta have the right password first. So let's see here. Let me get to the. I've got a direct tunnel here to Topspin's Wichita, Kansas office. Wichita is in Kansas, right?
Yes.
Is that where Wizard of Oz was? Wichita?
What's that?
Somewhere in Kansas.
No, Toto and where the fuck was the Wizard of Oz?
Kansas.
Yeah, but where in Kansas? Kansas is
Oh,
a state, not a city.
Somewhere on a farm somewhere.
It was. Yeah, it was. In,
Hey Bob, where did
It was in a.
how does this work? Where Max fucking headroom. Where did Wizard of Oz take place?
The Wizard of Oz took place in Emporia.
Emporia?
Yeah, but no one actually says the word Emporia in the Wizard of Oz, right? You just.
I don't think so.
Oh, Topeka. Jacob thinks Topeka. I don't know. I mean, they just say we're not in Kansas anymore, I guess. Okay, never mind then. All right, so what do you got for us, Bob?
Well, I got kicked off. I was going to give you the full fishing report from the side of the pond. I'll show you. But I got kicked out because Dave's cutting the grass.
Oh,
so if
shit.
you look out, you can see the Topspin Wichita office. The backyard has a pond in the back where just this morning Jamie pulled a nearly 12-inch bass, smallmouth bass out of the pond.
That looked like smaller than the pool that I skate in Santa Monica. How does that work? I thought it was going to be a lake or something.
It goes a long ways the other direction.
Oh, okay.
It's you could if you ran and jumped, you could almost get across it, but it goes back quite a ways.
But did those? Okay, so the fishing report is Jamie caught a 12-inch bass.
12-inch bass this morning. It's cloudy, which is good for fishing because it keeps the glare on the water, so the fish can't see you. And then it's supposed to get windy this evening, which should push the fish towards the spillway, which should give us much better fishing towards the end of the day.
All right, is there any surf?
No surf. So the waves are flat, and the fishing report is good, and the surf report is not so hot.
I've got a question for you, Bob.
Sure.
If you catch a fish and you deliver it to me through Topspin Fulfillment, is that direct to Finn?
Oh God, that's. Can we get a sad
I just threw up and swallowed it.
Or maybe you should just lean over and smack him.
He's big. Let me tell you something. Jason gave me a nice hard smack on the back the other day, and he knocked something loose. By the way, Jason's, for people who can't see, Jason's like 6'4". Like, he's not small.
You were coming at me, and I didn't know whether it was a hug or like a punch, so I had to defend myself.
I was going to punch you, and I changed my mind.
So speaking of fishing, this is a good time towards the end of the webcast here to make sure that we properly, for anybody who's out there, from just things that are cool that you should pay attention to, is Fishing with John. I don't know if you guys, anybody know the show Fishing with John. It's John Lurie is an actor, comedian, writer, sort of New York art legend.
This is gonna shock you, Bob, but I've actually seen this.
Yeah, so Fishing with John is one of the greatest things that was ever created ever. Pre-web, it's one of those things that would have been classic, epic on
Yeah, it would have been amazing. It would have been amazing.
But he actually has a fishing show where he goes out with Jim Jarmusch and Tom. The Tom Waits episode is really the one is really the one to see if you only watch one episode of Fishing with John. Fishing with John featuring Tom Waits in Jamaica, where Tom Waits gets sick over the side of the boat and yells to John Lurie about not stopping, and they continue to fish and they catch small crappy fish. It's one of the most genius arts and culture programs ever created. So if we're lucky enough to have Topspin work and take off, maybe we'll end up with our own fishing show. 2 or 3 years from now, where we'll do the webcast live from a rowboat somewhere here in the middle of Kansas with me and Brad Barish doing the local Kansas color. And
I have to say, Bob, that sounds absolutely riveting, and I do hope we rise to that level. That would be incredible and a true sign of success. Are you have anything else for us, Bob?
I don't. I've been answering questions in the chat. The only other thing I'll add is that I saw the stuff in there about the page gate, the VIP access. We call it the page gate internally, which is gating a members only area on your website with JavaScript and our membership API. I will coordinate with Jason and Parker, and we will get a blog post and a how-to video, and we'll give that the proper treatment it deserves as a full feature, so that folks can do that. And then, with a little luck, on next week's webcast, I'll be showing you a very cool and very interesting implementation of that page gate that I'm working on right now with our friends over at The Uprising.
Cool.
Foreign artists that you guys all know and love.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Bob.
That's it. Happy fishing.
Thanks. I'll see you. I'll see you Tuesday, if not before.
Okay, cool.
Someone just asked a good question about with the story with the buy button, your project from
Oh yeah. You know what? We're out of time on this week anyway. The bottom line is we created this very cool. If you go to thebuybutton.com, it's a 2-day project. It's a Music Hack Day project. I think it's a great idea, and the team did an incredible job on the implementation. You know, over a 48-hour period and less, and it's something that we'd like to pick up. So if you want to contribute to it, you know, drop us a note or drop in the forums, and we're going to jump back on that this summer, I hope. It's I'll you know what, let's put it on the calendar, and I'll explain more about it next week.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll just take 2 more seconds. Just Jacob Tell asked the question, was asking the sort of the publicity and using our tools question, and the answer, I mean, the answer is in my opinion is both. Like some of the coolest.
Can you reiterate the question for those?
The question is The question is. Well, the question's too long to read. The question was related to. I'll try to summarize. The question was related to PR approach and using Topspin tools. What we see as working best, is it sort of a more traditional major outlet push around an album, inside the context of one major push at the front end, or are we seeing that rolling out music slowly over a period of a year, for example, is a powerful approach. And we have seen people succeed doing all. Again, one of the coolest people definitely benefit. What seasoned publicists are able to do with the Rolling Stones of the world is extremely relevant. And by the way, often we have more and more of those types of publicists using our tools, so that an article is also an article that is an interview is also an opportunity to to capture an email address using our widgets, which people do all the time. Here, so I think it's clarifying. Successful EP release before the direct-to-fan era.
Yeah, and
I think those can be, yes. I think great direct-to-consumer, and I hope this answers part of the question. Great direct-to-consumer definitely freshens up the idea of an EP. I think it makes it more powerful. Absolutely.
I completely agree. I actually think it's worth going and listening to Michael's podcast. Michael Brandvold, Brandvold. It's worth listening to his podcast where he talks about this, because I think they were pretty much right on. It maybe is a little bit of hyperbole. I mean, certainly, Lefset's piece was a little over the top in terms of what what everyone should do. But there's no question that you can do things that you couldn't do before, because it used to be it was just more efficient to release an album and to have that long cycle, and now you can't. It's not, and now you can do it in smaller increments, just like what Alessandro was saying. I mean, I thought what Alessandro was saying was really inspiring, because it's what works for him creatively, which I think is then by default going to work better for his fans. So instead of trying to put the square peg in the round hole, it's like you're getting his creative vision, which is always going to, I think, connect better. But it is also nothing new. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band Rocket from the Crypt, but in the early 90s, Rocket from the Crypt, there's a record out which is called All Systems Go, which is to me still the #1 Rocket from the Crypt album. That album actually is just a collection of 7-inches. That band existed basically as a 7-inch club. I mean, the Misfits in their early days were basically a 7-inch club. The Misfits Fiend Club is where a lot of those early records came from. What we're talking about is no different than that. The first 3 albums on Discord, SOA, Government Issue, Teen Idols, and come on, somebody help me, who was the 4th? Those were all 7-inches. The first 4 Real Lookout Records I remember the ad in Maximum Rock and Roll. It said nobody releases EPs anymore, so we just made 4 of them. I think Dave's looking for you. You think he's leaving on you?
All right, I'm going to say goodbye, and then to everyone here, and then say goodbye to him.
Yeah, he's got a guest who's heading out.
Thanks, everybody.
So there's no question that there's nothing new under the sun here. This was done by independent artists for all the right reasons, 25 years ago. And what all that the internet has done is make it easier for you to do now. So That's me finishing out Andrew's topic, and now I'm gonna play you my favorite song from this main source record. And we'll get out of here. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Alf. Peace.